another video. So, I have a few things I need to say before I get into the video. Oh my goodness, I feel like such an asshole for doing this, but... Okay, so the point of themed weeks is that you stay in the theme. I had the example of either Conqueror's Hockey or Makima from Chainsaw Man. So, to the guy who said clones, thank you for the suggestion. I actually got inspired off that. So, this is kind of what happened when I thought about the what if about the cloning. I just sort of sat there and thought about it for a long time, and one thing led to another, and, well, this what if came into existence, so... An indirect thank you to you, to him, well, a direct thank you to him. But as you can see, I can't pull up the thing now because, load shedding, aka the government's scheduled power outages. Yeah, it's a thing down here in South Africa. Anyway, let's get into the video now. Now that I have all that out of the way, remember, Conqueror's Hockey or Makima. Those are like the best examples of the theme I can give. Once again, it doesn't have to be entirely based around that. It can have other elements. The control just needs to be the main hitter, as you could say. So, welcome to What If Deku had the quirk Eldritch Control. Ooh, goosebumps. Anyway, Deku would be born into, you guessed it, a cult. Yaperoni, initially to be sacrificed, but until they saw his... Give me a moment. Striking appearance, they decided not to. Now Deku's appearance is... well, his quirk's a mutation type. He's covered in a layer of black, thick scales which he can scratch off and have mutagenic properties. Whoever ingests them changes, as you would say. It can range from minute changes to disgusting changes, like breaking your spine, and to the degree where it's now a bladed weapon coming out of your back, or giving you 2 extra heads. Depending on the person, depending on the creature, depending on the anything, it can vary. Now, I'm actually basing this a little bit off the game Dredge, if you know that game. Yeah, I'm using a little bit of inspiration from that guy's comment, and I'm using a little inspiration from the game Dredge. Deku would be covered in these scales. He would have no mouth, just a set of eyes. Well, and his nose and ears. Just no mouth. His eyes would be, entirely yellow except for the pupils, which would be sharp like a cat's. And his hair would be a mass of tentacles. Except where the suction pods are, there would instead be eyes. Now, here's the control part. Deku is able to pluck off one of his tentacles, and if it gets on someone, it hijacks their brain, not only slowly driving them mad the longer it is on them, they can't do anything really of their own will anymore. When it wraps around you, you're basically as good as gone until someone else can get it off, which is an entire different can of worms, since Deku has the ability of telekinesis. If one of his eyes flashes red, that means, his telekinesis is active, which allows him to ragdoll like 5 people at once, which makes it extremely difficult to get the tentacle off. So it would take either a surprise attack or something else. Deku would also have an outstanding form of oh, no, that's not a part of the what if. Outstanding regeneration, able to regrow limbs and his tentacles within seconds. Yes, the tentacles are a natural part of his body. It isn't like plucking out hair. He has to pull off a piece of himself. Yeah, just adding to the... But luckily, like like the tail of a skink, it comes off pretty easy. Not that painful. Just like a slight pinch, as you would say. But, well, Deku's appearance would naturally score him pretty high up in the cult. Because of his quirk and appearance, he's quite eldritch, so certain followers believe that he's a sign of goodwill, as you would say. A taste of what's to come. Also, I forgot to say this, Deku's just able to sprout tentacles out of his body. He can do this. If he wanted to, he can do this. Yeah, now that that's done. Oh, yeah. And also, the tentacles regenerate their scales as well. Just want to say this. A tentacle can, scratch off its own scales and feed it to you, and said scales can regrow. So, okay, this quirk is taking a lot to explain, but yeah. And how does Deku eat, you ask? He mooches off the people connected to his tentacles, that's how. Those with the tentacles wrapped around them not only feed the tentacles themselves, but feed Deku, allowing him to grow stronger and live for longer. Every quirk has its limitations, I guess. But, yeah. Oh my goodness, I keep on forgetting these little tidbits. It's a very complicated quirk. As you can tell, there's already so much information to unpack. Deku's preferred environment is in the water, because of the squid attributes he has. He even has a... Moment. Sorry about that. He even has a gas bladder. Now, you know what a gas bladder is? It's a thing that fish have which allowed them to stay buoyant. Not sink but not float. He even has one of those and a set of gills on his neck. Give me a moment. Anyway, yeah, so that's his quirk. Let's continue with the what if properly now. This cult would quickly be chased out of Japan, moving to a remote string of islands off the coast of Japan. Well, let's say they lasted about 5 more years in Japan before they had to move. In those 5 years, Deku would have continuously snuck out of the cult's borders to meet a particular orange-haired girl that he made friends with, though when they moved, they both were quite sad. Anyway, Deku would take up the hobby of fishing, adding a few of his scales into, the waters and the fish to give them a more eldritch appearance. And apparently the meat tastes good. But since he doesn't have a mouth, he can't really try it. But the local fish market and other people are willing to pay him a large sum of money for it. So, this is where majority of funding for the cult would come. But with time, the cult would slowly break and shatter, with, heroes coming in from long distances to just end it. Hell, there was even a few missile strikes, but Deku would eventually end up being the only one left. He would quite enjoy swimming and, catching fish, though his presence in the local area has begun to take a toll on the wildlife. Well, less so wildlife and more so environment itself. Well, you see, at night things have gotten increasingly unnatural. Fogs, thick, deep fogs would roll in almost every night. Patch, patchy patch. And certain people say that they saw eyes within the waters, looking at them, glowing red. Oh, this should have been my Halloween special. But yes. And certain people even have had flocks of crows with glowing red eyes above them, but only for when they reach the shores for them to check and see that there's nothing left. There's nothing there. So, as time would progress, Deku would, well, oh, nice. A few of his scales would scatter here and there, scatter about. Give me a moment. Load shedding has ended, just waiting for the Wi-Fi to turn back on. But, yes. Anyway. Well, yeah, we cut over to Kendo, who's reminiscing, wondering if her friend, well, died when all those heroes went to go deal with that cult. It's always she hasn't really felt right about it since. Like, they weren't a threat to anyone, and when they left, hell, they weren't even a threat beforehand. The most they did was sacrifice a goat here or two. And complete and total extermination just doesn't sound right. She would be thinking this as well. Her father would be packing a set of fishing rods. Kendo's family going on a vacation to, well, a string of islands, an island chain, which has become quite well known for its meats and fishes. Well, unusual fish, and, well, it's quite the place for fishermen, as you could say, quite the lovely place for a family wanting to spend time together. It was also the last known place of the cult, so maybe Kendo could. Maybe if she's lucky, she would end up meeting her friend. Maybe. It still upsets her a little bit, but she knows she has to move on. She would get to the airport and, well, go about her days fishing along the coast of, well, a island at the center of the peninsula, you would call it. As she would be fishing, she would hear, "Hey, that's a big one you got there." She would quickly jump up as she would see Deku right there with what she presumes to be a smile. He doesn't have a face, so all she can tell based off of it is his eyes. They would have a lovely reunion, Kendo tearing up a bit, because she thought he was dead. Patchy. And, well, Deku would give her a few pointers on fishing, since it's really the only thing he's been able to do. He would even have a boat that he could take her on. Kendo's father is like, "Aw, hell no. I said that boy was a bad influence on you." And Kendo's mother is like, "I personally think that you should go on ask this boy out. I want to be a grandma." Quite extremists. The two of them. But Kendo would go out on a few fishing trips with Deku giving her a few pointers, and whenever she would catch an abnormal fish, Deku would tell her what kind it is and how much it could fetch at the local fish market. It would be a merry old time, but Deku always steering them in before the fog rolls in. Kendo would join her and her father on a few fishing trips between the two of them too, but there would always be a cold silence between Deku and Kendo's father, one not really wanting to address the other. Anyway, one night Deku and Kendo would be running a bit late. Give me a moment. Anyway, yeah, Kendo would have wanted to dredge up a few. Oh, it. Oh, yes! Yes! Worked! Kendo would have wanted to dredge up a few ships. Hey, that's the name of the game. Well, the game Dredge. Anyway, she would want to dredge up a few ships. Deku and her would, but they would end up running a bit late. Eyes beginning to appear, and Kendo getting more stressed. As well, a fish-like creature would jump out of the water, glowing red eyes and all. Kendo would back up in terror as Deku would say, Hey, Fred, go! No, bad Fred! The creature would have a tentacle around its neck and nod to Izuku before falling backwards into the water. Kendo would look at Deku and say, What was that? Deku would look at Kendo and say, The result of my long exposure to my quirk. You know, the tentacles. He would say, pointing to his hair. His tentacles would writhe unsettlingly and blink all separately. None of them blinking at the same time. Anyway, yeah. That would basically be their fishing trip. Anyway, it has come to Deku's responsibility by the local townsfolk to, well, deal with the prisoners, as he would say, by using his quirk on them and sending them into the depths. Only mutating them enough to have gills and the ability to survive down there. And well, the rest is up to the tentacles. Anyway, yeah, that would be Kendo's fishing trip. We would cut to Yue, Kendo sitting in class 1B, reminiscing about that nice fishing trip she just... Give me a moment. As well, I can't remember any of the names of anyone in class 1B except for Monoma, Kendo, and Tatsu. So, I'll just go with either their quirks or physical descriptions. So, Mushroom Girl would walk... Give me a moment. I deleted it. Great. Anyway, yes, that's a teaser for a future what if. Yeah. Anyway, let's continue with the video. Also, a quick snippet of themed weeks. You can recommend non-themed week videos during themed week. I just am not going to do them until the end of the week. Make sense? Yeah. So on Monday, the non-themed week what ifs are coming out again. I read, you probably didn't see the snippet of the chaos what if, but it's there. It's there and recorded. Anyway, Mushroom Girl would ask Kendo, Hi, Kendo, you've been staring at Tetsu for the last 15 minutes, and I want to know why. Like, you've been staring directly at him. Kendo would snap out of it like, apologies. Sorry, I was just thinking about a fishing trip I had last year before I got into UA. Finally got to meet an old childhood friend that I've been missing for a while. He's very nice. You would love to meet him, but, I doubt you will anytime soon with how this semester's going. Vlad King would walk into the room and say, All right, everybody. So then, Class UA is going to a training area known as the USJ. Mona would just boo in the back of the class. But, I am going to But instead of, that, considering its massive amounts of natural disasters and quite dangerous, also there's the fact that only Class 1A students can go there, I have decided to have a vote. Yes, a vote. On, what kind of a class field trip we can go on of sorts. Like a fun time to relax and unwind. Like, as an apology for not being able to get you into the USJ, but we won't be able to go today. That rhymed. The mushroom girl would ask, "Oh, Kendo, where did you say that, fishing place was?" Kendo would immediately freeze up Fine. Now we cut to Class 1B on a boat. Monema's, on, the edge of the boat. Sailor's cap, ascot, blue ascot around his neck. All on the wind. And Kendo is just, preparing the ship like an actual experienced sailor. She would have gotten a few pointers here and there from Deku on how to work a ship, as you would say. So she's doing it relatively well with Vlad King sunbathing. Yes, I know, strange. But yeah, Vlad King sunbathing on the top deck. I don't know fishing terms and/or boating terms whatsoever. I know about as much as that as the average person knows what goes in a hot dog. But yeah. So, Kendo would say, "Alright, everybody, I contacted my friend. He says that it's fine for you all to come, just don't go out at night, and second of all, don't be impolite. This one's from me to you, Monoma." Kendo would say, giving Monoma the death glare. "Do not be impolite, rude, or quirkist. We all know how much of a quirkist you can be." Sorry, Tetsu. And Tetsu's in the background, sobbing and also throwing up. He gets seasick. He got seasick in this. I don't know if he actually does in the anime, but here he does. So he would be doing a combination of sobbing and throwing up. Like a suburban wine mom. Hey! I'm so sorry. I apologize. That was an offensive joke. I apologize. But yeah. Anyway, Monoma would just grumble as the rest of Class 1B giggling in the corner. As they would pull up to shore, the sun setting, Kendo would hop out, and Deku would immediately pop his head out of the water. "Oh, Kendo, you're here. Just doing a bit of spear fishing," he would say, lifting up a spear. Well, the rope of a spear, of the spear guns, and a fish would be impaled on it. "Oh, hi. Oh, Izuku, hey. Sorry about, my class over there." Deku would say, "It's fine. Everyone, it's fine. They're just people. How bad can they be?" Kendo would just laugh and say, "You haven't met Monoma." Monoma would cartoonishly kick a board onto land and walk on it all like all moon landing style. Forgot how to speak for a few moments there. But yeah, he would walk all moon landing fashion and just trip and fall into the water. Deku would ask, Is that Monoma? Yes, it is. He may look funny now, but in 20 minutes you'll hate him. Anyway, everybody, it's getting late, Deku would say, climbing out of the water, using one of his tentacles to help Monoma out. It's, getting late, and, well, this town has a curfew, especially for visitors, and, well, you don't want whatever's out there at night to come and bite. Kendo would just hit Deku on the shoulder slightly, like, don't scare them. Fine. Also, in case any of you have an iron quirk, just don't use it around me. Fun fact, did you know that in mythology, iron, yes, the metal, is considered to be the opposite of magic, which is why it's super effective against fairies like leprechauns or pixies. Yeah, if you're superstitious like that and you don't want your child to get kidnapped by a pixie, you should add some metal onto their bed. That'll prevent any pixies. It burns them, and if they don't instantly die, that is. So in this what if, that's Deku's primary weakness. It slows down his regeneration and burns him like a fish out of water. No, it burns him like a fish to a grill. So, don't use it around me. Okay, let's go into our cabins. Well, the place that, UA has provided, cabin-like. You would say walking towards an area. The next, walking towards the forest, they would end up getting into a set of cabins, and the next day they would be out on the water. Class 1B separated into a few boats, Kendo with Deku, and, well, Monoma, unfortunately. And, well, I, once again, can't remember the rest of Class 1B. I can't remember them for the life of me. I cannot remember most of them. There's Mushroom Girl, there's Tetsu, there's Mudman, and then there's Kendo and Monoma. Those are everyone I remember out of Class 1B. I have 5 goldfish stuck taped together in my head. That's my brain, 5 goldfish. I have the processing power of a Nokia 1. Anyway, so... Oh, nice. Anyway, so... Deku and Kendo and Monoma are on a little dinghy. Vlad King not allowing Deku to have his boat because, well, it would seem unfair to everyone else. Plus, Vlad King wants to take everyone out on said boat. So, yeah. Them out on a little dinghy, Deku getting some bait ready, and, well, flinging it into a particularly unsettling part of the water. One that you can practically see some sort of energy radiating off of it. Deku would look at Monoma and say, "Watch this." He would say as quickly, as if unnaturally, his hook would get plucked down and damn near the entire boat would be pulled to the side. Now this is why I use reinforced lines. He would say, spinning said line, with the force of 1,000 suns. Like, he is doing better than most hydraulic, thingy-mabobs. The spinners on fishing poles. He would quickly yank something out of the water, and it's a cod. Well, it looks like a cod. It has 3 heads and is the size of Monoma. What the actual fuck is that? A set of eyeballs would open up on its stomach. Monoma would pass out. First timers, am I right? Oh, don't get me started. This is probably his first time fishing in his life. Deku would take Kendo would pick up a bucket of worms with some water mixed in and just drop it on Monoma. Ah! What happened? I caught a fish, and then you passed out. Monoma would look at the fish would look at Monoma with its many eyes. That's not a fish. That's a Lovecraftian horror. Deku would look at Monoma and say, no need to be racist. Well, I'm not being He would look at Deku, and Deku would look at him, and he would look at Deku. Sweet Massachusetts. Dang thing. But yeah. Just at this point, Deku's poking fun at Monoma, and Kendo is quite enjoying it. You know, he's kind of the third wheel. Yeah. So I'm ending this what if off here. Quite nice place to end it. Monoma being racist. Best place possible. So, yeah, I'm ending this off here. Goodbye, my lovely, lovely audience, and bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you remember everything I said in this video. Anyway, goodbye, my lovely, lovely audience. Hope you enjoyed, and hope to see you next time.